Hey guys, what is up? Dave here, and this is the second time I'm recording this because I got interrupted by my neighbor. But I might just use that recording anyway if this one gets interrupted by my girlfriend coming home. So today, I wanted to actually make a video rather than just a comment because this is a question I get a lot is how do I hack these server-sided MMORPGs or these server-sided games on Facebook or, you know, other server-controlled games. There's millions of them out there that have crazy security, check every little thing you do, and you have to figure out a way around it to hack it or do something. And I wanted to actually make a video about my response here rather than just, this comment, because a lot of people have asked me this question over the years. So these really, really giant games that have tens of millions of downloads, don't really even bother trying. Their security's so good. They're paying top security experts to make their anti-cheats. There's a reason even the VIP hacked APKs only have 2 features in them because there's just not much that's possible with them. You might as well just do what I say right here is make a bot for the game and automate something that's repetitive. That's what you might as well do in that situation. As far as maybe somewhat smaller games, you could apply some of the ideas that I mentioned here. So a lot of what it is when it comes to hacking these server-controlled games that have all these security checks and know exactly what you're doing is thinking outside of the box. And what I mean by thinking outside of the box isn't just like you're sitting next to the box. It's like a quarter-mile drag strip. You're done with the race and the box hasn't moved yet because it doesn't have an engine, so there's no point in it even trying to race down the track. That was a really stupid example. What am I talking about? Anyway, I hope I get to use this recording. That was so stupid. So when it comes to game hacking, game modding, a lot of the examples I use are Combat Arms, the Nitto games, and Racing Rivals, because they're the 3 games that I know the best when it comes to hacking games, that I learned a lot of what I know. And a lot of, especially with Nitto, a lot of what I learned from hacking those games can really be applied to newer games today as far as thinking of ways to get around things that you want to get around, like security checks or just variable checks on a server. So the example I used when talking about thinking outside of the box is on 1320 Legends. It was an online drag racing game with a lot of security checks on the server side. We actually found a currency exploit using a functionality within the Teams function of the game. Teams had a combined banking system where you could actually deposit and withdraw money in game. You'd use that combined team funds to race other teams. Winner takes the set amount agreed to. We decided to randomly spam deposit and withdrawing to the server using a custom script. I have an example of the script open. It's not the one we specifically used, but it gets the point across. The server couldn't handle that many calls for one specific team at a single time and would randomly just double or triple the amount of money we put in and took out, at the same time. The script we ended up using did like 25 plus deposits and withdrawals per second. So that is an example of a scripted out-of-the-box glitch, an out-of-the-box method of figuring things out. So to show you the code of how that worked, team deposit and actually this is a different method. I opened the wrong one. Anyway, this one did work for a short while as well. So what we would do was we were spamming the server with 3 calls. We were buying parts, we were depositing money. It was a random amount that I picked. For some odd reason, that number just seemed to work. And then we were selling the parts that we were buying, and it would loop it 5 times over, 10 times over, and 5 times over. So what ended up happening is we'd run it kind of in a random thing. And again, this isn't the final version of this that we used, but it's an example of the one we used. So first it would buy parts and it would run through it 5 times, but then at the same time it would run through the team deposit 10 times at the same time as buying more parts and selling more parts. And it would loop through that code. The server would get very confused and you would just gain money for some reason. So in the team funds, as you can see here with Team Deposit, in the team funds, you would actually deposit more than you initially had, but the game wouldn't let you go below 0 for cash, from what I remember. What are these buttons? These actually might have it. Ah, that's my old password. Don't try that. That'll work on some websites. I need to stop showing this. Just kidding. It's fine. Anyway, so that's how that would work. It was an outside of the box way of thinking because you're doing something that doesn't even apply to buying and selling parts, which is depositing money to a team at the same time as buying and selling those car parts. That confused the server, would allow more money to be deposited than was supposed to be, and you would gain money because of it. There were also other bugs that we had. Let me see if I can find them here. Hopefully I don't open anything else that has my password in it. Buy parts, deposit. So this was just a better version of it that actually had like visible stuff versus this one. It's just buttons that's way off to the side, yeah. I'm going to open up a few just to see if I find what I'm looking for. So this was the part uninstallation bug. They forgot to have a security check for account ID if to see if basically you owned the car you're uninstalling a part from. So we would uninstall people's parts from their car during races, which would invalidate the race, which would make the other person win. It was so much fun to mess with people with that, but it was also really mean. What's this one? Doesn't show. Doesn't show. So it's off to the side. That's right. Earn incentive. So this was just a method of making $300 in the game just over and over again. That one didn't work very well. Just trying to find some examples here. I remember this one. This was for buying the rare parts that weren't available anymore. Let me see here. Yeah, I have no idea where the actual script is, but let's go over the other option. OBS doesn't have its pause feature anymore, and it pisses me off. That was my live editing button. But anyway, so another example would be engine swapping, and I actually have a video example of this. Engine swapping or part swapping. That was a feature in Nitto Legends which allowed you to take an engine you bought from the part shop and swap it into your car. So, for example, Honda Civics in the game had their stock B18C1s, swappable B18C5, a K20A4, and a K24A5. So for the example here, I explained that, like, let's say my car has a B18 in it, and I want to put a K20 in it. What we used to be able to do, and this is a no-script thing, and this probably won't work on most games today because they instantly know if you disconnected from their server, we would actually physically pull our network cables out of our computers, swap the car, and also there was a scripted version of this later, which is what this is. We would physically swap the car in the game, plug our network cable back in, and then it would finish the install of the engine swap and put the engine in the wrong car. So we could do like a Nissan Skyline with a Honda engine in it, which is just sinful, but it's a good example. So later on, we ended up figuring out that we could do this by scripting. So as you can see, there's no bottle installed here, but there is the Formula 250 shot. Oh, I didn't go back far enough. So if I click this button, it swaps over a nitrous part. If I go back to this, you can see that the bottle is gone, which means it installed it, and the 250 shot now needs to be swapped over. So I went to the racetrack, showed that this no longer has NOS. No longer had NOS. And then I went to the box. Now it has NOS. And that was the scripted version. So we basically ended up figuring out what function to use to tell the server what we were doing originally with pulling our network cable and getting around their security check. So that's another example of thinking outside the box. The easiest way, long story short, for usually modifying these massive online games is making a bot, making something that automates a tedious process that you do over and over just to grind. You might as well just make a bot to do it. Coming up with these insane ideas to get around their security will generally get you banned, because they will detect something very strange eventually if enough people start doing it. If you keep it to yourself and you're the only person with it, I've seen people get away with this kind of stuff for a year plus while playing a game, and then suddenly they're banned and nobody understands why. The reason they're usually banned, and the reason you don't know that they're banned, is they got caught for doing something that wasn't public knowledge as far as an exploit. That's usually why they get banned. So maybe I'll make a future video explaining all the 1320 Legends hacks, because a lot of them were outside of the box thinking of using the server calls against the game and getting around their security checks. I'll even maybe make a video on doing like a Racing Rivals hack from start to finish, because a lot of that was also thinking outside the box and doing something that the game shouldn't allow, that maybe we just discovered they forgot a security check for. So that's really what it is. It's guessing and checking and being creative is really what you have to be in the game hacking world. Doesn't matter if it's a server-sided game or not, you have to be creative. A lot of stuff you can do is on client side. So anything like ESP, which is, let's say, a first-person shooter like COD Mobile. You have the boxes drawn around the players that you can see through walls. You have wall hacks. You have name tags above the players' heads. If you write advanced ESP, you can even see how much health that player actually has through walls and know exactly the health of every single player in the game. Aimbot is a client-sided thing that you can do on a lot of server-sided games that would have that sort of functionality. It's really just thinking outside the box, thinking, A, what can I do that's client-sided that's kind of like an automated program or a bot, and B, if it's something that I want to do for like gaining currency or getting an exploit like that, what can I do to think outside the box and maybe get the game to do what I want, when maybe I want it to, maybe I want a currency exploit. So I have to think, okay, doing this and this maybe at the same time will actually cause a currency exploit. You will probably need a lot of currency to test these sort of ideas, which is another problem with making these sort of features. But in the long run, you could come up with something great. There was a feature with Racing Rivals. There was a money bug and a gem bug that I figured out with daily challenges. So I had one hacked APK set up one way and a second APK set up the other way. Both were signed with the same key signature, so you didn't have to like go in, uninstall and reinstall and uninstall and reinstall. You would install one of them, open up the daily challenges, and then force close the app, and then install a second APK, open up the app, collect the daily challenges because it would think it was complete, close the app again, install the original APK, and that original APK would tell the server, hey, these daily challenges actually weren't done, and they forgot to have that single check on the server for, is it receiving a 1 or a 0 that he bought, or that he completed on his end, the acceptance of finishing a daily challenge. And what ended up happening is, since we could send server to the 0, or the server the number 0, instead of 1 for saying we completed the challenges, that would make the server think we never completed the challenges, which would then allow us to swap in the other APK, which would be telling the server we did do it. So it's that kind of stuff you have to think outside the box. Eventually, like I said, I'll make another video that's going through all the Legend stuff, all the Racing Rivals stuff. I'm getting back into modding a little bit here and there. My gaming computer should be hooked back up soon, so I'm not on this crappy computer anymore. This is just my backup machine. I'll probably still have it actually like in the wall for like paying attention to Discord and stuff like that, and have it like a fourth monitor, but it's actually a whole ass computer, because it wouldn't be actually that hard to set up for my location. But who knows? We'll figure something out. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something. This is just my thoughts on how can I hack a server-sided game. Hope you guys learned something. Peace out.